need a little extra pop by infusing ultra before MAGA. When Jen Psaki said that, she explained why this term is so appropriate, and in particular pointed out the Republicans' penchant for starting and obsessing all of these culture wars. Listen here.
Who came up with this phrase, ultra MAGA? Why the need to kick it up a notch? Well, MAGA wasn't enough. I mean, why now use this phrase?
I will tell you is the president's phrase, and the president made those comments himself just last week, as you know. And I think what has struck him is how extreme some of the policies and proposals are that a certain wing of the Republican Party, but it's not just obviously putting at risk a woman's right to make choices about her own health care, Rick Scott's extreme plan, and it's also the obsession with culture wars and wars against Mickey Mouse and banning books. The president thinks that's extreme. That is not what the American people care about or what they want. And so to him, adding a little ultra to it, give it a little extra pop.
The culture wars. They always do this. It's the Republicans' obsession with culture wars. That's what we're seeing in the country right now, not actual attempts by the Democrats to literally change most things about the culture that have been assumed as givens for the vast majority, if not all, of our history.
Yeah, I mean, they say in the year of our Lord 2022, there's going to be 3 or more genders. If you don't like it, then you're an extremist that wants to go to war with your own country. And that's the conditions that they apply to conservatives. Either roll over and accept it, that you're on the losing end or you're on the wrong side of history, as Obama used to say, or you're an extremist and you're ultra. But I don't think it's going to work. I think people have got kind of armor now. They're so attuned to this constant whining and blaming somebody else. Biden was on yesterday on the airwaves blaming people for inflation, anybody but Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And they just look at the stuff of life. They say, you know what? There's no formula on the shelves. I haven't bought a steak in 2 months. They say the border, look at it. It's not even a border anymore. And I can't even get in my car and drive. And rents and houses are out of touch. If you go to Home Depot and you want to buy a pipe or you want to buy Romex wire, you can't afford it. It's just outrageous. And they say, this is stuff, the stuff of life is eating and it's moving and it's having shelter and it's being safe from crime. And this guy in the last 15 months destroyed it. And I don't care what he says or alter this or cultural extremism that, it's just not going to work. I think there's going to be a tsunami in November, and they know it. They've tied themselves down on a railroad track when they bound themselves with ideological handcuffs to the track, and that electorate is the locomotive, and it's coming right at them, and they don't know what to do about it.
I think about girls in my new home state, and I'm from New York State, but right now living in Connecticut. Girls like I've interviewed, these teenage girls who were running in track and doing really well and had overcome a lot of obstacles in their 15, 16 years. One was, who we talked to was a person of color, and her mom was very frank about the challenges that had brought into her daughter's life when she was younger and so on. Ran track, were doing great. And then guys started running, saying they were girls and crushing these girls. And these girls, very brave, decided to speak out about it and say, I don't feel like it's fair. They didn't have to take hormones. They didn't have to do anything. They've already been through puberty. They were running as on the guys' team last year. Okay. So these girls decided to fight back. And now more and more people are feeling comfortable challenging something like that. That is not an obsession over a culture war. That is an obsession with fairness, with what's right. And you've got people like Jen Psaki who refuse to condemn that, who won't even discuss it other than saying, and I quote, trans rights are human rights. And when you try to push back, again, extremist, ultra obsession with your culture war stuff.
Yeah, I think throughout history, ideologues, if you're going to sum them up, is that they don't care about people, whether it's Jacobins in French Revolution or it's Bolsheviks or it's Cuban Fidelistas. They don't care about people. So if you ask an ideologue on the transgender issue, well, look at what you're doing to a whole generation of women. He would just say, you know what, some eggs have to be broken for the omelet. And if you ask him, you say to them, do you have any idea what it's like to live on the border when 1.5 million people cross in a pandemic without vaccinations or tests or any background checks? Do you have any idea what it is for an elderly Asian American woman to be thrown into a subway or kicked on a on a stairwell by somebody who's been let out for violent crime 6 times within a year? Do you have any care? They don't. They have no compassion. Do you have any idea what it's like for a mom with 3 kids to get in her, SUV and drive kids to this and that here in an LA suburb or San Francisco suburb and pay $6.30 a gallon for gas? They don't have any care. It's the ideology. It's all that matters.
Well, the lies, the blatant misrepresentations about these issues that really affect people are running out of any believability. And so you've outlined a few of them, and they're so obvious you can't deny it. But so from CRT, it's not being taught in schools. Well, we know that's not true. We just know that's not true. Defund the police. No, we were never for that. Well, we have tape. We have written op-eds. We have your positioning. We have your votes in Congress. We know it's not true. Putin's price hike. Right, at the gas pump. No, we saw the prices going up long before the war in Ukraine. You can't get away with that anymore. Inflation. Okay, it's all the Republicans' fault, or it's the pandemic now, or it's Putin. You spent a year telling us it wasn't even happening. You went with this is transitory. It's going to pass like in a moment. So we know that you're not straight shooters on this. And you had a great piece out just this week called The Exasperated American. There's a line in there that writes, behind the popular furor is a sense of impotence in the face of the untruth that people are assaulted with day after day. Bullied Americans are angry that people who control the nation's institutions deliberately mislead them and do so because they hate them.
Yeah, I think they do. Just the other day, Megyn, Hillary Clinton was ranting about the next election and how it would basically the democracy dies in darkness narrative. And I was listening to her and I thought, you were a conspirator. You were a racketeer. You told the nation that this dossier that you hired through the paywalls of Perkins Coie and the DNC and Fusion GPS, you told us that this was authentic. It was a complete fabrication. He was a foreign national that you hired to interfere in a political campaign. That's a felony. And then you had another contractor, and it looks like from Mr. Durham's investigations that this alpha ping that you fabricated your team fabricated that entire story to destroy another opposition who was president of the United States. And then, when you look at, and she was weighing in on January 6th, and I said, all of us deplore the riot inside the Capitol, but it was a complete lie that Officer Brian Sicknick died violently at the hands of a MAGA protester. It didn't happen. And so all of these, we live in an empire of lies, and all of these people promulgate them, and there's not going to be any consequences. When James Clapper lies under oath to Congress and says, the NSA never spies on anybody. Oh, sorry, I gave you the least untruthful answer. Or John Brennan twice lied under oath. Or Lois Lerner, took the fifth. There's just all of these people are unaccountable. And I think they're just saying, I don't believe what these people tell me. They're this bicoastal elite. They think they're exempt from the law. Rules don't apply to them. They put their kids in private school and lecture us how terrible you are if you go to a charter school or homeschool, or how wonderful teachers unions are, but that's not applicable to them. They have big walls around the Pelosi estate in Napa, but she dams walls on the border. So I think there's going to be a reckoning, and I really do feel it. And I think it's going to happen in November. And I think Jen Psaki and Joe Biden, in the abstract, they think, we're in trouble, but they're not in the concrete. They don't really have their hand on the pulse of the country. It's very angry right now, and it's angry in one direction.
Women are at a higher risk of poor sleep quality and sleep deprivation due to hormonal changes that disrupt the circadian rhythm, negatively impacting overall health. This can later lead to hot flashes and night sweats in up to 85% of women, making sleep seem impossible. And even if you put the cell phone down and turn the lights off and do all the stuff you're supposed to do, your body still needs one final trigger to let it know it's time to sleep now. This trigger is a decrease in temperature, which hacks your primal response and convinces your body that it's finally time. We heard that from our sleep expert that we had on. This is where Chili Sleep comes to the rescue. Their team helps people from all walks of life achieve better sleep. Chili Sleep makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions that help you improve your entire well-being. As part of an overall scientific study, conducted by Wake Forest researchers, Chili Sleep's cooling bed products were shown to significantly reduce the frequency of night sweats and the frequency of hot flashes. Head on over to chilisleep.com/MK to learn more and save 30% off the purchase of any new Cube or Uller sleep system. This offer is available exclusively for Megyn Kelly listeners and only for a limited time. That's Chili, CHILI, sleep.com/MK to take advantage of our exclusive discount and wake up refreshed every day. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.